Today, we're going to do a weekly update on NVIDIA on all the great news that we have over this past week. So if you might have missed my daily episodes, this is going to be a nice catch up of all the top news that impacted the overall stock. And in my opinion, made me a little bit more bullish in this company. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So the first thing I want to take a closer look at is news that I believe can impact NVIDIA for this fiscal year and can allow NVIDIA to beat revenue expectations for the full year, which can obviously be amazing for investors. So earlier this week and late last week, we kind of saw that NVIDIA is expected to make $12 billion selling AI GPUs to China with their H20 GPU. So for those that are not familiar, NVIDIA can't send certain chips to China as they are under restrictions. But the great thing is NVIDIA did develop chips that are compliant, and that is the H20 that is going to ship off to China. Now, most analysts believe that the H20 is not going to be a strong chip in forms of competition to some of the AI chips out in China right now. But based on the recent analysts, that doesn't seem to be true. It seems that the H20 is actually performing pretty well and does have its perks, even though it is a weaker down version and it allows Chinese players to kind of showcase and sell their products as an alternative. The H20 is still expected to make roughly $12 billion in China. And the reason I think that's great news is if we look at NVIDIA's revenue estimates for the current year is $120 billion. And this is a rough estimate of all the average of all the analysts. And most analysts believe that the Chinese market is pretty much done for NVIDIA in forms of AI and data center solutions. And it was for me as well. But now seeing this huge potential of the H20, I believe there's going to be even more upside if it is true. So I think this is very bullish as it can help NVIDIA beat revenue estimates for the current fiscal year. So in theory, we should see NVIDIA continue to raise their guidance in the upcoming quarters, which would overall be bullish for the stock. So that's the first news, and I believe that's the only one that's really impacting the stock for this year right now. So overall, things look good. Now, the rest of the news are going to be things that impact the stock in multiple year time frame and can kind of talk about the Blackwell architecture and the potential growth from here. But before, I do want to say thank you to everybody that purchased my ebook. So my ebook is kind of a semiconductor handbook where I do a little bit of explaining all these different semiconductor companies right now. So if you want to learn more, check out moresemiinvesting.com. That's more with 2 O's. And right now I do have a 33% off special for anybody who buys it this first week. The great thing is I'm adding more and more companies. And if you buy the book now, I'm going to send you the updated versions with those other companies in the few weeks. So hope you all are enjoying it and thank you for the support. Now, the other great news we saw for NVIDIA were various price target increase this week. So the first one was UBS. They increased their price target from $120 to $150. Then we got 2 bullish points. We got one from KeyBank, which increased from $130 to $180. And then we got Benchmark, which increased it on Friday or late Thursday from $135 to $170. So all very good buy points or huge growth from where we're at right now. So each company or each analyst did share a little bit of why they're upgrading their price target. And let's start off with UBS. So UBS pretty much mentions that they were recently looking at their supply chain checks and they are confirming their original suspicions that the demand for the Blackwell is going to be insane. They actually mentions that the NVL 72 and 36 system are much larger than they thought just 2 months ago from hyperscale players like your big cloud server providers. And now because of this upgrade and this kind of checks that they're doing in the supply chain side, they lifted the revenue estimate for fiscal year of 2026, which is pretty much calendar year of 2025, so next fiscal year, to $204 billion. That is an insane number because if we take a closer look at for next fiscal year, most analysts believe it's $160 billion. And based on all the reports numbers that we're seeing, I believe this analyst is going to be right, and the revenue is going to be closer to that $200 billion opposed to this 160 that most of the market is expecting. Not only that, they also did increase their sale for the next 2 fiscal years. So for fiscal 2027, they raised their revenue to $225 billion, where most analysts are banking on 188. So I do believe this analyst, UBS, is a lot bullish on the company, but rightfully so. So I really do like those numbers. And with that, they also did increase their earnings per share for the next fiscal year, which would be about $4.95, pretty much $5. And if you do the math at the stock currently sitting at $130, that would give you a PE ratio of roughly 26, where forward 1 year is sitting at 35.33. So I think this stock is definitely sitting pretty attractive if these analysts are correct. And I want to say, from what I'm seeing, I think they are going to be correct. And I would be really excited to see a nice dip on Nvidia if it drops below, maybe though, if we get it in the 1-teens, I think that would be pretty impressive. And if these numbers are right, that would be pretty amazing, right? Because if let's just take a closer look. So $115 divided by 5, that would give this a PE ratio of roughly 23 if analysts are correct. I think that would be a nice attractive if they're right. So that's why everybody has to do their homework, see if the thesis is still correct, and from what I'm seeing, it is. And anything in the low teens, mid-teens, I think would be pretty impressive for Nvidia. Now, the second analyst that we talked about was KeyBank, right? KeyBank increased it from 130 to 180. And KeyBank is pretty much mentioning the same thing. They mentioned that they believe the GB200 next year is greater than what they had initially heard last quarter and could support over $200 billion in data center revenue in 2025. So they're a little bit more bullish because, right, the previous one, the UBS, they mentioned in data center was going to be roughly 187. This KeyBank believes in data center alone, it would be over $200 billion. So again, these two are very, very bullish in the stock, and it's mainly because of the Blackwell platform, something that if you've been watching this channel, we know how we're super excited for it. The final analyst comes in from Benchmark, and Benchmark, like we saw, increased the price target from 135 to 170. Based on the information that I found, it doesn't seem like there was anything drastic that really gave them the buy rating that they shared. They just mentioned at a recent keynote, they saw the confidence that Nvidia can continue to grow its revenue and earnings in the coming years. So overall, 3 bullish trends in 3 bullish stocks, mainly due to the continued growth in AI. Now, kind of talking about AI, some great news came out on July 11th when Japan mentions that they're going to be working with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, ticker HPE, and power thousands of NVIDIA H200 GPUs and NVIDIA Quantum 2 InfiniBand. So this is that showcase that NVIDIA is going into sovereign nation customers, where countries are going to be building huge AI solutions to continue to build and power their countries, right? So this is going to be a big project, and obviously they're going to be using NVIDIA GPUs. So I'm super excited about this because we're going to continue to see many, many countries do the same and continue to build supercomputers in their side of the world. And obviously this is going to be powered by NVIDIA's networking solution as well, and NVIDIA software solutions. So much more revenue than just hardware, right? It comes with the infrastructure revenue. It comes with the networking revenue. It comes with the software revenue as well. Now, there was something that we heard from Elon Musk on July 9th, where kind of XAI. So we know that XAI, Elon Musk AI company, is building a 100,000 H100 system. Now, Elon Musk also mentions that OpenAI is building a 100,000 GB200 cluster. So we can see big players are buying these 100,000 systems. Many were thinking, hey, who's going to buy 100,000 GPUs? And many were wrong, because we're seeing all these big players, and I believe we're going to continue to see maybe Microsoft, maybe Amazon, and all these buy 100,000 GPU servers. And that's why when Jensen in their Taiwan Computex keynote mentions about 1,000,000 server GPUs in the upcoming years, I don't think it's completely far-fetched, because we went from a few thousand to 24,000, now to 100,000. I don't believe it's impossible to go to million GPU servers. So overall, very, very bullish for the company. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.